We've all been there. You walk into Costco for a pack of toilet paper and a jug of olive oil, and before you know it, you're standing in front of that massive wall of meat, staring at a 3-pack of pork shoulders the size of a toddler. It looks like a deal, right? The price per pound is lower than your local supermarket, and the quality looks solid through the plastic. But here is the thing about the Costco meat department: it is a land of incredible wins and some surprisingly frustrating traps. If you aren't careful, you can easily drop $200 on protein that ends up freezer burned, tough, or believe it or not actually more expensive than what you'd find at a regular grocery store on a good sale day. Today, we are cutting through the noise. We're looking at the 6 meats that are absolutely worth the membership and the ones you should leave in the refrigerated case. If you want to make sure your grocery budget actually goes toward quality meals and not just filling up your trash can, you're in the right place. Before we dive into the first absolute legend of the meat aisle, do me a quick favor: if you love a good warehouse find as much as I do, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and it ensures you won't miss our deep dives into the best ways to save your hard-earned money. Now, let's talk about the undisputed king of the warehouse. If you don't have a rotisserie chicken in your cart by the time you hit the checkout line, are you even shopping at Costco? At $4.99, this bird is practically a miracle in 2026. While inflation has been hitting the poultry industry hard over the last few years, Costco has famously held the line on this price point. It's what we call a loss leader. They are literally losing millions of dollars a year just to get you through the front door. They know that if they can lure you in with a $5 dinner, you're probably going to pick up a $70 bottle of bourbon and a new set of patio furniture on your way out. But from a consumer's perspective, this is the ultimate win. These chickens are significantly larger than the ones you'll find at Kroger or Safeway, often weighing in at 3 pounds or more, and they are seasoned to perfection. The value goes beyond just a single meal, too. You eat the drumsticks and breasts for dinner, use the leftovers for chicken salad or tacos the next day, and then throw the carcass into a pot for the best homemade stock you've ever had. It is, quite simply, the best value in the entire store. When you're picking one out, look for the heaviest bird in the case that still looks plump. Those are the ones that give you the most bang for your buck. Moving from the rotisserie case to the fresh meat bunker, we have to talk about the USDA prime beef. This is where Costco really flexes its muscles. For those who might not know, USDA Prime is the highest grade of beef available in the United States, representing only about 2 to 3% of all beef produced. If you go to a high-end steakhouse in New York or Chicago, this is what they're serving you for $80 a plate. At a local boutique butcher, you might pay $30 or $40 a pound for prime ribeye or New York strip. At Costco, you're often looking at nearly half that price. Because Costco is one of the largest beef buyers in the world, they have incredible leverage. They can demand the best cuts and still keep the prices accessible for the average home cook. If you are planning a special dinner or just want a steak that actually melts in your mouth, the prime selection at Costco is almost always worth the investment. The marbling, that beautiful white fat ribbon through the meat, is consistently superior to what you'll find in the choice or select bins at your neighborhood grocery store. It's the kind of meat that makes you look like a professional chef even if you just throw it on a hot cast iron with some salt and butter. However, there is a massive caveat to buying steaks at Costco that most people completely miss, and it brings us to our first big avoid. If you look closely at the labels on many of those beautiful Costco steaks, you'll see a little note that says blade tenderized. This might sound like a good thing. Who doesn't want a tender steak, right? But in the world of food safety, blade tenderization is a bit of a controversial practice. Essentially, the butcher runs the meat through a machine with hundreds of tiny needles or blades to break down the muscle fibers. The problem is that if there is any bacteria like E. coli or salmonella on the surface of the meat, those needles push that bacteria deep into the center of the steak. Usually, with a solid cut of beef, you can sear the outside to kill the germs and leave the inside rare or medium rare. But with blade tenderized meat, the USDA actually recommends cooking it to an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit to ensure it's safe. For a steak lover, that's a tragedy. That's a well-done steak. If you're someone who likes a nice pink center, buying blatta tenderized meat is a gamble you might not want to take. It's one of those hidden details that can turn a great deal into a potential health hazard or a ruined dinner. Since we're on the topic of beef, let us pivot back to a winner, the whole beef tenderloin. Now, I know what you're thinking: spending over $100 on a single piece of meat feels like the opposite of saving money. But hear me out. If you buy a whole, unpeeled tenderloin at Costco, you are getting the source of the filet mignon for a fraction of what you'd pay for individual steaks. Yes, it requires a little bit of home butchery. You'll have to trim off the silver skin and the chain, that fatty strip along the side, but it's actually a very simple process that takes about 15 minutes with a sharp knife. Once you've trimmed it, you can cut that roast into 8 to 10 thick-cut fillets. If you priced those out individually at a supermarket, you'd be paying nearly double. Plus, the scraps you trim off? Those are gold. You can use them for the best beef stroganoff or stir-fry of your life. It's a classic example of how Costco rewards the shopper who is willing to do just a little bit of work at home. As we move through the meat department, you'll notice that the sheer volume of everything can be overwhelming. It's easy to get bulk buy amnesia, where you assume every price is a bargain just because the package is heavy. But as we're about to see, some of the most popular items in the refrigerated section are actually better left on the shelf. We've already covered the legends like the rotisserie chicken and the prime steaks, and we've flagged the safety concerns of blade tenderization. But what about the staples? What about the ground beef that everyone seems to have in their cart, or the massive packs of chicken breasts? Are they really saving you money, or are they just taking up space in your freezer? We're going to break down the truth behind the Kirkland ground beef and why some bargain poultry might actually be a raw deal. Stick around, because the next few items on our list are the ones that will truly change how you navigate those crowded Costco aisles. And hey, while we're taking a breather between sections, if you found a holy grail meat at Costco that I haven't mentioned yet, drop it in the comments. I love hearing what you guys are finding in your local warehouses. While those whole beef tenderloins are a masterclass in value for the home chef, not every bulk beef purchase at Costco is a guaranteed win. This brings us to a staple in almost everyone's cart, the ground beef. At first glance, the massive chubs or the 3-packs of organic ground beef look like an incredible bargain. But if you really start crunching the numbers and looking at your local circulars, you might find that Costco's ground beef is often just okay rather than great. Most standard grocery stores use ground beef as a loss leader, just like Costco uses chicken. You can frequently find lean ground beef on sale at a neighborhood Kroger or Publix for a price that matches or even beats Costco's everyday bulk price. Furthermore, the sheer quantity of ground beef Costco sells in a single package, often 5 to 7 pounds, means you're either cooking for an army or spending your Sunday afternoon portioning and vacuum sealing. If you don't store it perfectly, that savings evaporates the moment you see freezer burn. It's not that the quality is bad. In fact, the Kirkland Signature ground beef is consistently high grade. It's just that it isn't the slam dunk deal people assume it is. If you have the freezer space and hate shopping every week, go for it, but don't feel like you're missing out if you skip it in favor of a weekly sale at your local market. Speaking of staples that might not be all they're cracked up to be, let us talk about the boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Now, before you come for me in the comments, I know everyone buys these. They are the backbone of the American meal prep routine. But here is the secret that professional cooks know: the Costco packs of chicken breasts are often enhanced. If you look at the fine print on many of those plastic-wrapped trays, you'll see that the meat has been injected with a saltwater solution, sometimes up to 15% of the total weight. This is done to keep the meat juicy during cooking, but it also means you are literally paying for salt water by the pound. When you throw those breasts in a pan, you'll notice they release a ton of liquid, often causing the meat to boil in its own juices rather than getting that nice, golden brown sear. If you want a better deal on poultry, look for the organic packs, or, better yet, head over to the thigh section. Costco's boneless, skinless chicken thighs are one of the best kept secrets in the meat department and an absolute buy. Pound for pound, they are significantly cheaper than the breasts, and because they have a slightly higher fat content, they are much more forgiving to cook. You can overcook a chicken thigh by 10 degrees and it's still delicious. Do that to a breast and you're eating shoe leather. The value here is incredible because the quality is consistently high, and unlike the breasts, they aren't always pumped full of as much enhancement liquid. They freeze beautifully and are perfect for everything from slow cooker curries to air fryer crispy chicken. If you've been sticking to the breasts out of habit, make the switch to the thighs on your next trip. Your wallet and your taste buds will thank you. But let us get back to the items that are definitely worth that membership fee, and this one is for the backyard barbecue enthusiasts, the pork back ribs and the St. Louis-style ribs. If you've ever tried to buy ribs at a standard supermarket, you've probably noticed they come in small, thin racks that are often overpriced. At Costco, you're getting heavy, meaty 3-packs that are trimmed beautifully. The price per pound on these is almost unbeatable, especially when you consider the quality of the pork. These aren't those scrawny ribs that are all bone and no meat. These are thick and well marbled. If you're hosting a summer cookout or just want to spend a Saturday with your smoker, this is an automatic add to cart item. Because they come in a 3-pack, it's also the perfect excuse to invite some neighbors over or to do a massive meal prep for the week. The cost savings here compared to a boutique butcher or even a high-end grocery store can easily be $20 to $30 per trip. Now, I want to touch on something that often gets overlooked because it's tucked away in a corner: the lamb. If you are a fan of lamb chops or a leg of lamb, Costco is quite literally your best friend. In the United States, lamb is often treated as a specialty item with a price tag to match. However, Costco sources a massive amount of lamb from Australia and New Zealand, and they pass those savings directly to you. Their lamb loin chops are often priced lower than what most stores charge for choice beef steaks. They are tender, flavorful, and incredibly easy to cook. If you were to go to a high-end grocery store, you'd likely pay double for the exact same cut. The leg of lamb, whether it's bone-in or boneless and netted, is also a stellar value. It makes for an incredible Sunday roast that feels way more expensive than it actually is. It's one of those items that makes the $60 annual membership fee pay for itself in just 1 or 2 purchases. However, just as there are hidden gems like lamb, there are also items that feel like a warehouse deal but can actually be a trap for the average shopper. A prime example is the pre-marinated meats, like the seasoned tri-tip or the pre-rubbed ribs. While the convenience factor is high, you are paying a significant premium for that marinade. Often, the price per pound jumps by $2 or $3 just because someone at the factory tossed the meat in some spices and oil. Not only that, but you lose control over the sodium content and the flavor profile. These marinades are often loaded with salt and sugar to extend the shelf life and mask meat that might be getting close to its sell-by date. You are much better off buying the unseasoned version of the same cut, which we've already established is a great deal, and spending 5 minutes at home adding your own rub or marinade. You'll save money, and the result will almost always taste fresher and more authentic to your own palate. We're about halfway through our list, and I hope this is helping you rethink your next Costco run. It's all about being a conscious consumer, recognizing when the bulk pricing is actually working in your favor and when it's just a clever bit of marketing. Before we move into the final part of our video, where we'll talk about the heavy hitters like bacon and seafood and one specific avoid that might break your heart, make sure you've shared this video with a friend who spends way too much time in the meat aisle. We're all trying to navigate these prices together, and a little bit of shared knowledge goes a long way. Stay tuned, because the final few items on our list are the ones that can save you the most money over the course of a year. When it comes to breakfast staples, there is one item that stands as a fortress of value against the rising tide of grocery bills: the Kirkland Signature bacon. If you've been shopping at a regular supermarket lately, you've probably noticed that bacon prices have become absolutely eye-watering. A standard 12-ounce package can easily run you $7 or $8. But at Costco, the 4-pack of thick-cut bacon is a legendary deal. As of early 2026, we've even seen some price drops in this category, with a multi-pack often landing around $16 to $17. When you break that down, you are paying significantly less per pound than you would for even the generic store brand at a local chain. And we aren't talking about thin, flimsy bacon that shrivels into a salty pebble the second it hits the heat. This is high quality, thick-cut pork that holds its shape and has a perfect balance of fat and meat. It's also one of those items that is perfect for the Costco lifestyle because it comes in individually sealed packs within the larger wrapper. You can throw 3 of them in the freezer and keep one in the fridge, so nothing ever goes to waste. If you're a household that goes through a pack of bacon every weekend, this one item alone could justify the cost of your membership over the course of a year. Now, let us pivot from the breakfast table to the freezer aisle, because there is a massive win waiting for you in the seafood section, the Kirkland Signature frozen shrimp. Seafood is notoriously difficult to buy at a good price without sacrificing quality, but Costco has managed to master the supply chain here. Whether you're looking for the raw, Thailand shrimp for a shrimp scampi or the pre-cooked ones for a quick cocktail platter, the value is unbeatable. These shrimp are consistently large, well cleaned, and most importantly they aren't packed with an excessive amount of ice glaze that adds artificial weight to the bag. In many standard grocery stores, you're paying for a pound of shrimp but end up with 12 ounces of meat once the ice melts away. At Costco, you're getting exactly what you pay for. The quality is so high that many restaurants actually source their shrimp from Costco for their daily specials. If you want to elevate your weeknight dinners without spending steakhouse money, keeping a bag of these in your freezer is a total pro move. While we are in the frozen section, we have to talk about the salmon. Costco offers both farm-raised and wild-caught options, and honestly, both are winners in their own right. Their wild-caught sockeye salmon is a seasonal treasure that is priced much lower than what you'd find at a specialty fish market. But even their farm-raised Atlantic salmon is top tier because of the strict quality controls Costco imposes on its suppliers. They ensure the fish are raised without certain antibiotics and in environments that prioritize the health of the animal. If you've ever bought salmon at a budget grocery store and found it to be fishy or mushy, you'll notice the difference immediately. The Costco fillets are firm, brightly colored, and taste incredibly clean. It's one of those rare cases where the bulk buy model doesn't just save you money, it actually provides a superior product compared to the fresh case at a regular store, which might have been sitting on ice for days. However, just as the frozen seafood is a major win, we have to look at one of the biggest traps in the meat department, the boneless pork shoulder. At first glance, this seems like the ultimate deal for anyone who loves their slow cooker or smoker. It's a massive hunk of meat for a very low price. But here is the catch: because it's boneless, the butchers have to cut into the meat to remove the shoulder blade. This often leaves the roast in a jagged, uneven shape that is held together by a net. When you take it out of that net, the meat can fall apart into several smaller pieces, which makes it very difficult to cook evenly. You end up with some parts that are overcooked and dry while others are just getting tender. More importantly, you're missing out on the flavor and moisture that the bone provides during a long, slow cook. If you want the real deal, look for the bone-in pork shoulder. It might take up a little more room and require a tiny bit more effort to pull apart once it's done, but the flavor is significantly better, and you'll often find it's even cheaper per pound than the boneless version. It's a classic case of convenience actually working against the quality of your final meal. As we wrap up our journey through the warehouse, there's one last item that I have to mention, partly as a warning and partly as a recommendation: the pre-cooked, vacuum-sealed ribs and carnitas found in the refrigerated deli section. These are the ultimate emergency meals for those nights when you realize it's 6 p.m. and you haven't even thought about dinner. From a flavor standpoint, they are surprisingly good. The carnitas, in particular, get a great crispy if you just toss them in a hot skillet for a few minutes. But from a value standpoint, you are paying a massive premium for that convenience. You are often paying double or even triple the price per pound compared to buying the raw meat and cooking it yourself. If you're on a tight budget, these are an easy avoid. But if you're a busy parent or a professional who would otherwise spend $40 on DoorDash, then these are a strategic buy. It's all about knowing which category of shopper you fall into on any given day. Navigating the Costco meat department is really about building a strategy. You go in for the anchors: the rotisserie chicken, the prime beef, the thick-cut bacon, and the frozen shrimp. You keep a sharp eye out for the traps like the blata tenderized steaks and the boneless pork shoulders. And most importantly, you stay flexible. Sometimes the best deal in the store isn't on the list, it's the manager's special on a pack of organic chicken thighs that are reaching their sell-by date. By understanding the why behind the prices, you can stop just being a member and start being a power shopper. I hope this deep dive helps you feel more confident the next time you're pushing that oversized cart through the refrigerated aisles. If you found these tips helpful, please hit that like button, it really does make a difference for the channel. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date on all our latest warehouse hacks and money-saving guides. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is the one meat you always buy at Costco? And is there anything you've tried once and vowed never to buy again? Let us keep the conversation going down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.